pause for the answer to, when changing keys, what is the difference in emotional impact between common tone modulation and pivot chord modulation? So here's a super brief answer. Modulation just refers to we are changing keys. So common tone modulation just means you hold out a note that is common or the same in both keys. It exists in both keys, and you hold it out and just change chords and keys on top of it. It's a very abrupt and jarring way to change the key, so the emotional impact is that it's very dramatic. It's meant to be startling, so things like anger, intensity, storminess, or any type of like big active emotion works very well with this kind of modulation. The Raindrop Prelude is a really great example of this. So here's the middle section of it, and we have a common tone modulation. It is enharmonic though, so that means that we go from an A flat here to a G sharp in the next measure, because you can see that we go to C sharp minor here. So we're going from parallel major to parallel minor, and we're doing so using this A flat / G sharp as our common tone modulation. And it goes from being very peaceful to suddenly stormy. So it's a very dramatic change, so a common tone modulation sounds really nice here and fits the change in mood. A pivot chord or common chord modulation is a bit gentler than the common tone modulation. In this one, you take a chord that exists in both keys and you use the full chord to move from one key to the next, and you actually hear the chord in a different way before versus after the key change actually happens. Because it's gentler, it works really well when you don't want the modulation to have any kind of big emotional impact. Gently guide the listener into the new key area without them really noticing until after it's already happened. This example is from Tchaikovsky's Mazurka, Opus 39, number 11, and we're coming from the key of D minor, which you can see with these C sharps here, and also with our key signature. It's either going to be F major, D minor, or some other mode, but likely F major or D minor, and we're moving towards F major over here. So that's going to be a really simple and smooth transition all on its own, just because relative majors and minors flow really easily between one another. But I want you to pay attention to this chord when we get here. It's going to start up here at the top just to give you some context and so you can sense that we're in D minor. But this chord is a 6 chord B flat major, is a 6 chord in the key of D minor, or a 4 chord in the key of F major, which is where we're going to. So in terms of where we're going, it's acting as a predominant so that we can get a 4-5-1 in the new key of F major. So we get 4, 5, and then 1 here, finally at the end of that key. So let's give it a listen. And now we're suddenly in F major, and when did that happen, right? There are of course other ways to change keys and other uses for these two specific kinds of modulation.